Welcome everybody. CJ the Smart Guy with you. And today I have a great guest. Man, you want to talk about a multi-dimensional type person. Not only is he a poet, not only did he create this like put together this whole entire tour at the very last minute. He's also a great father. I got to witness him as well as his son go on tour. And I went to 22 cities, but the whole tour was about 33, 34 cities. And so it's a great pleasure to bring on Kweisi Gharreau. I don't want to say your last name wrong. I've never gotten it right. So I just
Kweisi
say
Gharreau. Kweisi
Gharreau.
Gharreau.
So I say Kweisi the Kappa because that makes it easier for me. And everybody see that? Look, he's throwing up the signs already. So welcome, man. Appreciate you coming on. How you been?
I've been brilliant. How have you been? And thanks for having me.
Yeah, I've been good, man. Got off tour. Had to take care of extended tax season. Took a little time off. Now we're back in real tax season, and man, the grind never stops. But that was an amazing tour for me, and I'm just grateful to be on that. And so I'm also grateful to be on.
Yeah, so when you say the two, you had to be specific. It was the Hill Harper and Najah Roberts, the Black Wall Street digital financial national charitable tour, which we hit. Initially, it was 30 markets, but when I got brought on, I was engaged. I was the national logistic executive. I handled media relations, brand strategy, and I was the tour manager. There was 30 markets initially shared with me on a spreadsheet. When I was officially engaged on March 27th, Najah Roberts emailed me a spreadsheet and said, here are the 30 markets. This is where we want to go. I was like, okay, cool. Is there anything in place? She was like, nope, here's a spreadsheet. These are the Black businesses that we would like to hit. It was a pop-up tour because, of course, we was in the middle of a pandemic. At that time, we had the vaccines had not been, they had just started being disseminated to Americans. So through my relationships and my allies across the country, I put together 34 market tour in 3 weeks. Initially, again, it was 30, and through my relationships, added Jackson, Tennessee, Nashville, Orlando, and Tampa.
Yeah, man. Look, I remember being on Clubhouse when Najah was just announcing it. She was like, "I think I want to go on tour," and I remember I hit her up. I was like, "Hey, I'm going on tour with you. I'll go ahead and get my car, get everything." I told my lady, and she was like, "Going on tour, 3 weeks? You're just going to just go on tour for a whole month and a half without thinking about it?" So I could just imagine the anxiety it brought her just thinking about, changing everything within a month, within 3 week time period, and you having to put together the entire thing. Like, people don't realize this wasn't like a Super Bowl that, okay, you got one event. No, this is like every single day, multiple times a day, man.
Yes, no doubt. And I was introduced to Najah Roberts through a business partner friend, and he's like a brother to Michael Scott Carter. Michael was doing some things in the cryptocurrency space for Disney. And he was having a conversation with Disney about some things in the crypto, because a lot of these corporations are getting into the cryptocurrency space. They're having their own tokens or coins. So if you look on certain products or products, you'll see PepsiCo coin or Disney coin. So Michael was doing something with Disney, and Najah was having a relationship with Disney. He said, well, Najah, you need to meet this Michael Scott Carter out of Chicago. And then they connected, and then Najah Roberts was telling Michael Scott Carter that she was doing the tour. Michael said, that is not my wheelhouse, but I have a partner of mine that can help facilitate this tour for you, and he'll help you get it done. That introduction was made on March 24th. I had about an hour conversation with Najah. We met that Saturday on March 27th. That's when she officially engaged me for the tour with her and Hill Harper, because Hill created the world's first Black-owned digital wallet, the Black Wall Street digital wallet. And Najah Roberts is like the Harriet Tubman in this space, for really sharing information with the community, specific Black and Brown communities, to free us from financial bondage. And she's become like that figure in the cryptocurrency space and sharing information with the community.
Yeah, for sure. It was great how the whole thing was put together, because I met you literally on tour.
Yes, we pulled up. We was a few hours late in Houston, and thank everybody in Houston that waited that extra 3 hours for us.
Yeah.
And I had literally, and planning the tour, when I saw that Houston from Phoenix was a 20-hour trip, I gave us a 3 to 5 hour, grace period.
Yeah.
But because of construction on the I-10 in New Mexico, and there was a car accident, that's what slowed us down. Because, on tour, CJ, I hate being tardy.
Yeah. Yeah.
That
Yeah.
is my worst pet peeve. Like, listen, we cannot be tardy for anything. We're Black. We have to be professional. We have to be on time. And we pulled up 3.5 hours late, and some people still waited. And so I want to thank everybody, specifically in Houston, who waited for us and received the information on cryptocurrency and the Black Wall Street digital wallet.
Yeah, for sure. Because Houston was the first place that that I got into the tour. So that's actually my very first episode on this podcast. And so when y'all before y'all got there, Raven Moore, shout outs to Raven Moore. He's a CPA as well. He was keeping a lot of people engaged and keeping them going. You had Tammy Francis, you had Greg Smith, and they were just engaging with the people that were out there, trying to make sure everybody was informed about like Lolly and Fold app and the Bitcoin and everything like that. So that was big. You also had like music out there, and
yes, and another young lady from Houston, Tanya Bell, she helped facilitate. She was a Houston ally as well. So much love to her. She's a social media influencer and expert, worked with several media outlets there. So much love to her as well. But yeah, initially that's when we had first met. You pulled up, you came out with crafts, water, juice, bags of chips and things in that nature. And then you pulled up, and then we pulled off together.
Yeah, that was Janae Bailey. Janae Bailey brought a whole bunch of snacks, and then my boy Gerald Brown, he brought some what was it? Some peach cobbler. And then Greg is the one who brought the turkey leg hut.
Yes. Because we went somewhere to eat in Houston too, right? After that, we went somewhere in Houston to eat, right?
So I'm not sure.
They bought us food. They bought us food.
Yeah.
I believe they bought us food.
Yeah, Greg brought the turkey leg hut.
Yes.
And then
those turkey legs were like huge.
Yeah, and then I had to go with Najah to go get a car at Enterprise, because originally I thought that I was going to be renting a car on my own and just, riding behind y'all. I was only planning on going to maybe like 7 or 8 cities. But when she was telling me about the issue with the RV and the trailer and how it was just rattling, and she was like, nah, I'll just get a whole new car. And I hit up my homeboy. I was like, hey, I need a car. He worked at Enterprise, but here Green. And he was like, hey, I'm going to get you one for a discount so that you could have the whole tour. And I was like, bet. So I didn't have to rent a car on my own personal dollar. I'm grateful. And then I was able to contribute by driving and having a lower cost vehicle.
Yes.
Yeah. So okay, so these connections you have, man, like is this done through Kappa, or you just was super party? Like I don't know how you have all these connections.
Well, CJ, I'm in this space. Well, I'm from Chicago originally. I moved to LA to get to produce TV and film content. However, my first few years out here, I got welcomed to Hollywood. By that experience, I had 3 reality shows stolen from me. And so I was a little disconcerted with that process. And so 2009, I started making the transition to start my own imprint, my own PR brand strategy firm, which was initially called Kweisi Gharreau PR. Then I shortened it to KGPR. And so for the past dozen or so years, I've been in this space working with celebrities, reality stars, influencers, professional athletes, and things of that nature. And so every time I meet someone, I say their number and or their email. I have over 11,000 people in my phone regarding contacts. And I would text people every so often, hey, what's up, how you doing? I'm gonna be in your city. And I just keep connected, to people through when I meet them, regardless of where I am. And so when Najah bought the opportunity, I said, okay, cool. We didn't procure the sponsorship. So, and she came to me and said, Kweisi, we didn't procure the sponsorship. So I understand if you don't want to move forward with us because we can't afford to pay you your ask. We can only pay you this. Do you still want to be down? I'm like, man, I'm down like 4 flat tires.
Yeah.
So I agreed to the arrangement. But how can I still make this work then? if I can't get the financial benefit. So I said, can my son perform and be on tour with us? My son is interested in this space. He's 12 years of age. He's an actor, rapper, singer, dancer. He has a song out, a lyrical remake, kid version of Roddy Ricch's hit single, High Fashion. So a part of her Crypto Kids camp, my son, Navonne Love, was the performer. Because when you're doing a pop-up tour, as you're sharing new information with people, you, in a sense, you need to entertain or edutain them, that you're just not smacking people in the head or in the face with this information that might be Japanese to them. So of course, I had it set up where the run of show was, we had a DJ in each local market. My son would do his piece. I would do my piece entitled "The Revolution Will Be Digitized," a tribute to Gil Scott-Heron and also to Najah Roberts. And then I would bring up Najah and/or Hill, depending on what market we was in. Now, Hill was unable to attend every city because he was still in production for his TV show, The Good Doctor, on ABC. Sometimes, though, we, as you know, we zoomed him in via link. And then when his production ended, basically the end of May, he was able to join us in certain markets. And so from that standpoint, I said, this is an opportunity to see the country, because I've never been on tour before. Yes, I've visited certain markets and cities because, you know, I went to college. And so you travel with people from other parts of the country. But like Mount Bayou, never been to Mount Bayou. Yeah. You know, Boston, I'd never been to Boston. So when I looked at the markets, I was just like, oh, I'm down. I'm seeing, I want to see America. This to give me and my son an opportunity to be together, do something together. And I wanted to see from a business standpoint if my son could handle this type of work and if he was serious about being in this space. My son finished 6th grade, still at the top of his class. As you know, sometimes we had to walk to a local Starbucks because we couldn't have Wi-Fi, and we was in 2 different or 3 or 4 different time zones. So, you know, it's 9 o'clock in, you know, the East Coast. So he had to make sure he zoomed in at the right time. So we had to deal with all of those challenges, but he overcame those challenges, and we overcame those challenges together and via the tour.
Yeah, for sure, man. I know. So my first like really introduction to you, like, because I saw you in Houston, and then I know Shreveport was next, and so really at Shreveport is the first time I really got to really pay attention to what was going on. Because in Houston, I had personal people there, I had people I had invited, so I was moving around. But in Shreveport, that was my first time seeing your sign that you were holding up, and so that was my first time actually seeing what you were actually doing. I knew you as the tour manager. I didn't know you as, you know, hey, the man, you know, this situation happened. This is my way of living through it, and this is what I'm doing about it. And so first, I want to give you your kudos for that. I don't know if you wanted to go into that or not. I saw your post on Instagram.
Yes.
No,
my story is not for me. My story is to share with the world, especially in the times that we're living in now with the uptick of gun violence in America. So I'll just share this with you. I have always been influenced by Sean P. Diddy Combs. I first came across Puff's name when I was a senior at college at Central State University, HBCU, in Wilberforce, Ohio. Central was playing Howard for homecoming, autumn of 1991. And Puff had a party at Howard. And I'm at the frat house in DC. The bros, we out partying, drinking, twirling canes. You know what we do. Yeah. And the noobs came back like, yo, we're gonna go to Diddy party, yada, yada, yada. And the bros was like, bruh, that party is 2 blocks. The line is wrapped around 2 blocks.
Yeah.
I was like, Diddy? Puff? Who is this Puff guy? So that's all when I was in DC. About Puff. And so I didn't think nothing of it. But then as things progressed regarding his music, you know, him being an intern, you know, catching the train from DC back to New York and things of that nature, discovering, you know, Jodeci, Mary J. Blige, not discovering, but working with them, Notorious B.I.G., Craig Mack, you know, all the groups that he has worked with. And I'm like, yo, so I've always been influenced by how he would brand and market himself and his artists. And so, you know, in Chicago, this is before social media. Long story short, my younger brother was killed. January 11th, 1992. And so, in dealing with that death, trying to escape the pain, the tumultuous hurt, I initially, externally, I turned to drinking alcohol, being promiscuous with women, thoughts of suicide, and I was smoking marijuana, trying to escape the pain and the hurt. Nonetheless, I found poetry, or poetry found me. So through the written spoken word, I wrote and met the two brothers, Eric and Jonathan, who killed my younger brother, Lamont, who was 17 at the time. Lamont was not at the wrong place at the wrong time. This was January 11th, 1992. It was a Saturday night on an unusually warm winter day in Chicago. Lamont, my younger brother, was on our block, 6 doors down from our house. And my brother, it was an intrepid act on his behalf because Eric had approached his friend, Kimberly, who was 14 at the time. Lamont was 17 with a sawed-off 12 gauge. Lamont was like, yo, what's going on? Told Kimberly to step back. And at that point, Eric approached my younger brother, Lamont. Was like, yo, so you trying to be the hero? Get in the car, get in the car. He's like, nah, we're good. Forced him in the car with a 12 gauge. Jonathan, they drove off. Kimberly ran home to my mom's house. Diane. At the time, we were living in Riverdale and the row houses on 136 and Low. And they took my younger brother 3 miles from our home, stripped him of all of his clothing, shot him execution style with a sawed-off 12 gauge shotgun, left his naked body in the vacant lot. His body was found about 2 hours later because a young man was walking to a friend's house and discovered his body, called the police, and then that's when they, called, because my mother had called the police and said he had been kidnapped, and then the police went and identified the body or said, yeah, we have a young black male here, gunshot wound to the head. So they called my mother. She went to the morgue, identified the body. On January 12th, that Sunday, my sister called me, standing in the Kappa house, and my frat brother was like, yo, Bass, it's your sister. I think it's an emergency. My sister, Tanya, called me. It's like, yo, Junior. I'm a junior, so everybody called me Junior. They kidnapped Lamont. And I'm on the phone like, yo, what? Kidnapped Lamont for what? Just come home. And so, and I ain't packed nothing. I got in my car, filled it up. Central State to Chicago is normally a 5-hour trip. I got home in 3 hours. The moment I walked through the door, my mom and sister confirmed that my brother had been killed. And they knew that he was dead, but they didn't want to tell me because they didn't want me driving home mentally distraught. But during my drive home, when you're driving, you're listening to the radio goes in and out, you cut the radio off, then you cut it back on. First time I cut the radio on, I was in Dayton. It's So Hard to Say Goodbye by Boys and Men come on. I'm like, oh man. Lose radio again, get in Indianapolis, cut the radio on. It's So Hard by Boys and Men come on. I said, I know they killed him. And yeah, so I just started crying in the car, driving. And I got home, my mother and sister embraced me and was like, yeah, Junior, they kidnapped Lamont. And at that point, my life forever changed. Yeah. And honestly, that's the part of who and why I am today. I moved to LA because I'm turning my poetry book, Innocent Rage, into a feature film. Again, I met Eric. He was the trigger man. I went to Cook County Jail to personally meet him. I didn't meet him once. I went and visited him several times to kind of say, listen, you went here, we need to stop perpetuating this violence as Black men. As young teenagers that come in here, why don't you tell them that violence is the way? Now, he did ask me, because I wasn't there to meet him, for him to admit that he did it or not. Yeah. The facts were the facts based on what was discovered during the trial. During January of 92, they had killed 2 people, with Lamont being one of the victims. They attempted to kill a 3rd person, but he survived the gunshot wound. And it was Kimberly's testimony, and that 3rd person that they had shot was the convincing testimony that said that Eric and Jonathan was the men who shot and killed my brother. And not only that, 2 weeks later, after they caught Eric and Jonathan, the driver had on my brother's pants and gym shoes. And so when I went to visit him, I wasn't like, you got to admit to me whether you did this or not. That's between him and his divine spirit and himself. I was forgiving him because I didn't want to become a double victim of my brother's murder. One, the initial piece, and then the aftermath, the trauma, you know. And I mean, it's still traumatizing, don't get me wrong, but every day is a healing process. My wife, Kyle, one time asked me, when the Parkland shooting happened in America, she said, do you think you have post-traumatic stress? I was like, no. She's like, I think you do, because every time these shootings happen in America, you get into a dark or very reclusive place. You know, that I didn't want to be with nobody, or if I wanted to be with people, I wanted to go out, and then I would overindulge in drinking and things of that nature. And so it never occurred to me that it was still affecting me the way that it had, as these mass shootings were happening in America. And so on tour, you know, and marketing, like, on tour, like was in Chicago when I released my book, Innocent Rage. On my cover, I had the creative look of the dead presidents, the white makeup, the black eyes, black lips. So I creatively was inspired by that regarding my book, because in Chicago, I was on a radio station with Rick Party on WGCI, and I had a spoken word segment there. And my spoken word segment was 30 to 60 seconds. It was really the positive thought of the day. It aired Monday through Friday in Chicago on WGCI during the top 9 at 9. And it aired for about 95, 96 to about 2000. And when I came out with my book in January of 99, I didn't want to put my face on the cover, because I didn't want people to fall in love with me, the human being, but me, the poet, and me, my spoken words. Because as a human being, I'm flawed. I'm imperfect. Yes, in one aspect of my life, I'm like a full moon. But on other aspects of my life, I'm like the dark side of that full moon. You know what I'm saying? So I wanted people to fall in love with my work, my art, my message of forgiveness and peace, and really looking into yourself to solve your own, or to face life adversities. You know, because poetry literally saved my life. I didn't go to school of academia. When I was growing up as a child, as a teenager, I thought poetry was for those intellectuals, and I thought it was boring. So I never was into poetry, spoken word, or writing, anything of that nature. But that is a very artistic form that saved my life. So in Chicago, when my book came out, I had these poster board signs, like straight up old school, like coming, Innocent Rage in bookstores now. So I would be going to book signings in the city of Chicago, catching the L in the bus, in full makeup, backpack on, with my sign, you know, in bookstores now. I would stand on books, LitX and Damon and Milwaukee on the north side of Chicago. I would be standing outside, book signing with my sign, makeup. Barnes and Nobles on 95th and Oak Lawn and Evergreen Park or whatever. So wherever I had a book signing in Chicago, when I was doing poetry sets out in Chicago, man, had my face on, my face paint, because I was promoting my book. This was before social media. This was before, you know, texting, cell phones, and all that. It was like, get in the streets and make it happen. That's how I became a household name in Chicago, via being in the boardroom on WGCI, but really being in the grassroots on the block by doing poetry sets, and sharing my message inside the public schools of the city of Chicago. So when we did the tour, I implemented those same marketing and branding strategies for myself and my son. I said, follow my son, Navonne Love, on Instagram, you know, and then we could flip it over and he would say, yo, follow my dad, the People's Poet at KG2KZPR. So just branding and marketing, being able to marry the boardroom with the block, an old school way of marketing, you know, with social media and radio and things of that nature. So I've been in this space for 12 years and been able to develop the relationships, and just really just, you know, I'm gonna be honest. And I say this with all the confidence and the blood that's flowing through my body. I am brilliant at what I do. As a writer, as a poet, as an activist, as a brand strategist. My clients who I work with love me because I'm literally like 7-Eleven. Yes, I have a family, a father, 2 children, and things of that nature. But I know how to manage my time well. And sometimes my family, though, I'll be honest, I'm on my phone 24/7. Dad, we're eating dinner, get off the phone at that, you know, but they understand. So I try to balance it out, but sometimes it is very, 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 very challenging in that space. And so, and I'm gonna get a little personal with you because you did see the relationship with myself and my son. And I
Oh
just
yeah.
want people to understand the pressure that, you know, Black men really face in our country on a day-to-day basis, and embracing all aspects of who we are, and also being a pillar of strength, not just for ourselves, but our families and the community at large. Like my son and my daughter are my niece, biological niece and nephew. Um, my niece, who's my sister's daughter, called me February 2012 and said, Uncle Rob, I'm having a mental breakdown with some other things going on. Can you come get the children? And initially, my niece was going to, after she had my daughter, because she said she didn't want any more kids because the birth of my daughter was not a planned pregnancy. So she said, after I have, you guys could, you know, adopt. But then of course, you know, you as a mother, she drew the emotional connection. And at the time, my wife and I was prepared for that. So she said, I want to keep the baby. So we said, no problem. We still supported her. We would go to Chicago once, twice a year to see the newborns and things of that nature. But nonetheless, so basically, we've had my son and my daughter, Navonne Love and Ariel, since April 2012. They called the greatest title that I've been given is being called daddy by them. Um, and so, yeah, so, but yeah, so I
Yeah.
am a father to biologically my niece and nephew, but to my children, Navonne and Nariel. So you got to experience that relationship intimately on the tour. So yeah, so my son and I was promoting each other. As he was performing, I was promoting him. As I was performing, he was promoting me. So we would go into, we was father and son, but we was going to say, look, this marketing now, son, we got to put our own branding, our own message out there. You know what I'm saying? Yes, my son was on all the e-flyers, you know, Hill Harper. You know, one of the branding strategies that I had once we did procure the sponsorship dollars to pay for radio buys for the tour to get the word out, I said, Hill, Najah, specifically Hill, you have to do a video for each market that all of our allies could post on their social media platforms to let the people know in that particular city that we will be there. And so Hill said, no problem. So he did, I think 26 or 27 markets that we were in. Because when we started the tour, it was like,
Yeah.
it was almost a week before that we didn't learn that we didn't get the sponsorship dollars so high, because everybody was trepidatious about being a part of the tour, even though they knew Hill, they loved him regarding his brand equity in the marketplace is stupendous, but no corporate brand wanted to get involved due to the fact of the coronavirus. Even though it's pop-up, people exactly were just saying, we don't want someone to get sick and they sue us, because they're gonna look at the branding. Oh, we don't want to sue Hill or Najah. No, that corporation, they got multi-billions of dollars. We want to sue them. So nobody sponsors us. So Najah and Hill pretty much underwrote the tour. We did have some brand partnerships here and there, nonetheless. But yeah, we made it work. And through social media, through Hill's social media equity and Najah via Clubhouse and Instagram, we was able to get the word out. Of course, we did interviews in each market on morning news shows, on radio, on social media platforms, from Facebook to Instagram Live, I mean, to podcasts. You know, because when we was having our weekly tour meetings, Hill said, Kweisi, I don't care if they have 3 subscribers on their platform, I'm gonna do every interview. I'm like, cool, brilliant, because we're gonna need every platform and every outlet that we can get the word out regarding the tour.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Y'all did a great job. I know. Well, that was a lot to digest. So, couple things, right? So,
Yes.
first, I admire what you did, like being able to take not just one but 2 of them on, and then not just taking them on, but then taking them on tour. I think that's an experience that he'll hold on to forever.
Yes.
I know I recently just started doing therapy and things like nature, because they said to some degree I have a PTSD, but it was less direct. It was extremely indirect, meaning like a few of my friends I know my aunt, she had been murdered. At that term "go postal," like
Mm-hmm.
that. I never really connected that term as like a real thing until one of her coworkers at the post office came back and then murdered like herself and a couple other people. And so like that term "go postal," you think of it just as an adjective, but when somebody
No,
says that,
it's real.
yeah,
And most of the time, as human beings, specifically Black men, we a situation from going postal, literally a situation, because as you know, we internalize our pain, our hurt, our disappointment, our anger, our rage, and we don't have a positive outlet. And so for me, it has always been writing and or poetry, and so I've always, um, through my journey and on this journey, I have been sharing the spoken word and the written word because we all have the capacity to write. We all have the capacity to write. You know, um, and therapy, yes, therapy. One to share that with someone um, is a stupendous avenue for us to deal with our mental health. However, it's still somewhat taboo in the Black community. It's still taboo, specifically among Black men. We have some influencers, some radio personalities like Charlamagne the God, who's doing a brilliant job. Taraji P Henson, she has our mental health foundation. That's really trying to get the word out about us getting into this space and understanding. If you have some mental issues, if your teeth hurt, you go to the dentist.
yeah,
If you're playing football, you have a football coach. If you're having some mental issues, it is okay to have a therapist, a mental coach to help facilitate and navigate you through your emotional pitfalls and downfalls and or darkness, you know?
yeah.
So, and once we learn that it's okay to be expressive in that space and to be vulnerable because we find our strength and our vulnerability, poetry. I mean, literally, I wanted to commit suicide. I was seconds away from going to a bridge on 127 in Chicago on Ashland, the I-57 bridge, and jumping off of it. And anybody on the south side of Chicago know what that bridge is. Like seconds away from just jumping off that joint and ending it. I had moments where when my brother was first killed in 92, driving back and forth from Cincinnati to Wilberforce. I was visiting my frat brother who had just graduated, and he had a job at Procter and Gamble in Cincinnati, and I would visit him driving back. One time I got my car up to 110 miles an hour, took my seatbelt off as I was going to drive into a tree because at that point it wouldn't have been looked at as a suicide. It had just been looked at as, oh, college kid fell asleep behind the wheel, hit a car. So I had literally planned this out because I didn't want my mom to think or my family to think I committed suicide.
Yeah.
So no, we have this trauma that we deal with as Black men on a day-to-day basis, and we need each other to kind of facilitate and navigate and share our stories to empower and inspire each other to say that you're not alone. And it's a lot of stuff I've been dealing with in this space and with my family, even dealing with my children, my family back at home. It's a day-to-day challenge. I'll just say that, and we need each other. So I can understand your PSD too, and something and anything could trigger that or set you back or occur to you that you can say, oh snap. And if you don't have that mental strength, that mental motivation or discipline to say, okay, I recognize this, I'm hurt, I'm sad at this moment. This reminds me of what happened to my family member. You embrace it, sit in it for a moment, but just don't have a pity party and stay in that quicksand of hurt and doubt, and you paralyze yourself.
Yeah, because I know. So what inspired me to go to therapy? Because people have been telling me for years. Like you said, it's taboo. So I was just like, no, 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 I'm not gonna do none of that. But it actually inspired me was when we were in St. Louis, and that whole situation happened. I don't know nothing. I didn't see nothing. I just know something happened. So
I saw it.
yeah. So I remember we was in the car and I seen Navonne, and like he had this look of like, why would they do something like this?
Mm-hmm.
And like, see, I handle mine a lot differently than necessarily yours. I just grew completely cold, meaning like it happened so often in my life that it was just like, okay, well, one man down, the next man up, and it takes away empathy. It takes away like all types of stuff. But that was my norm. So to see him, to see his look, it took me back to when I was like my first time hearing about something like that. And it was like, oh, there is a little boy still in there that, you know, can relate. And I was like, well, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't be that cold. Cause I told people about St. Louis and I was low key laughing, but it wasn't laughing at like, you know, what
No,
happened.
no, I understand that's the way you dealt with your pain.
Yeah. So,
And
it was
you
just like,
reminiscing, yes.
I was singing songs like, you know, you can find me in St. Louis, with a gunplay, rain all day. But like, I'm making jokes, but that was my way of coping because
Yes.
I mean,
Mhm.
if I wouldn't know else how to deal with it. So after that, I went to therapy and I'm still doing it. And so as of right now, a lot of people around my life are saying it's good, it's helping me. I don't necessarily see it yet, but
Well, I
you know,
commend you, brother, and stay on that path. You
thank you.
know, stay on that path. Now, you might not see it because you're living and going through it, but your friends, your family, and the people around you may and will see the change in your demeanor and the way that you approach certain things, that you reconnect with your spirit of empathy and compassion, and you develop a warm heart opposed to having a cold heart to situations that you face, and that you can share that empathy and compassion with others.
Yeah, for sure. Because I know a lot of things I started doing was actually living through it. So like there's an artist in me also. It's funny because our artwork is different. By no
Mhm.
means am I a poet. By no means I can't rap. Like everything
We
created.
all are poets. We all are poets. We all
uh,
have stories here. It just depends on what level you want to put yourself on. That's all. So yeah, go ahead though.
my creativity comes into business models. So
Mhm.
like I'm very super analytical. And so like, you know, when Nipsey had passed, I was like, you know what? You know, that happened what March 2019. And so I was like, you know what? Let me really dig into everything I've ever known about all his business models and let me really just re-engineer it for 2020 and 2021 and you know all these years going forward. Yeah, it was March 31st, 2019, man, because yeah, and COVID was March 2020. Um,
Mhm.
so it was like I created my podcast, Pivoting Your Business, and then I actually went on tour myself. Before Najah's tour, I went on tour by myself. I took my Chevy Impala. I drove to I don't know how many cities and states, but it was maybe like 20 of them. I did not have connections. I did not have any hotels. I was sleeping in my car most of the time, or I was going to friends, families' houses.
Mhm.
And then I went broke because I didn't budget well. This is before I was a CPA, so I budget better now. But back then I was like, I'm gonna go. So I was actually driving Uber Eats just to get
Mhm.
gas to be able to go to the next city. Um, but what it did is it actually gave me the vision of seeing, okay, this is the city, this is the world, this country is
Mhm.
beautiful, it's for sale. And so I was like, you know what, I actually want to go on tours regularly. And so when Najah said her tour, I was like, bet, immediate. um so I created my first podcast, pivoting your my first one was a finance road trip podcast part 1, where I talked
Mhm.
about the cities, but my quality was horrible because I knew what I was doing. I'm an accountant, I study, I'm traveling, but you just put it out there because you're like, hey,
Trial and error. You know, you put yourself in the fire. You know, you
yeah,
wasn't afraid to fail.
nah, that there was one thing that I feel like I have the ability to thank God or my parents or whomever gave me that foundation. But like fear, I typically meet directly on. If there's something that's I feel as I fear or something there, I normally attack it directly. I think that's also why I did therapy because if there's a problem deep down in me, like I'm don't have empathy, you got to attack it. You don't want to push it back because the more and more you push your fears back, the more power it has over you. And I try to live by faith, not by fear.
No doubt, for sure. No doubt,
Yeah,
for sure. But I commend you on putting yourself in the fire. I commend you on seeking mental help and having a therapist and doing what you're doing. You know, most of the time we are paralyzed by our fear. We're paralyzed by what other people may say and what we do because I think big, I believe big, I think grand. And even with this tour, a lot of people's like, how are you gonna put this tour together in 3 weeks? Because I was talking to a couple of my people, it's like, man, I'm gonna just do it. I'm gonna use my relationships. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna utilize them. And everybody who knew my heart, and who in some form or fashion, everybody I knew me has known me for anywhere from 25 for 5 to 25 years. So everybody knew my heart, my integrity, my character, things of that nature. And so when I reached out to people, and because when you say Hill Harper, y'all don't have sponsorship, y'all don't have no money.
Yeah.
It wasn't that. It was like, yo, we in the middle of a
Pandemic.
pandemic.
Yeah.
No one wanted to take the risk on being sued. So, and we didn't want to cancel the tour. And I know specifically Najah said, no, we're going to do this tour if I have to underwrite it myself.
Yeah.
And pretty much her and Hill got together, they collabed, we made it happen. I said, look, I'm down, like I said, down like 4 flat tires, like raindrops.
Yeah.
And despite some of the challenges we had on tour, you know, it was a successful tour.
Yo, it was beyond just successful. Look, this was so monumental. It's funny because I know on tour I was so busy. I was doing taxes on tour. So like I'm over here. I got my hotspot. I got my computer. You know, calling people, texting people, emailing, and then in my mind, most people view me as somebody who's like superhuman that can do all these things performing. But then I'm looking at you do it. I'm looking at Najah do it. And I'm just like, oh, we're here. Like we're the super cool kids who are traveling the whole country, educating people with no real, backing. Like you said, there wasn't no real money. Like
it was a grassroots effort. It's literally like, we going to each city, like Harriet Tubman, trying to free the people, working to free the people from financial bondage. Like seriously, literally popping up. Had the DJ, we had music, microphone. I mean, people showed up, got the information. And some markets, I literally had to tell Najah, we cannot keep talking to everyone. We have to get back on the road, go to the next city. Because some cities, it was set up where our sleep time was in the vehicles to be at the next city the next day. And Tajah being the person that she is, she just want to pour in everybody and give everybody all the information. I said, she literally gave everyone her direct phone number to get in contact with her, direct message via Instagram or what have you. So as long as we give people a direct way to get in contact with you, you're going to still be able to share the information with them. But from a tour standpoint and time standpoint, we have to get back on the road. We got to get back on the road because we got to be in the next market. And in some cities, we had met, politicians, the mayor, like we met the mayor of Mount Bayou. We met the mayor of, at the time, Mayor Janey in Boston. We met the treasurer Adam Lane in St. Louis. We met Mayor Jason of Valley, Missouri. Yeah. So it was just a lot, and of course in Tulsa, we met several Congress people, Congressman Coons. I mean, it was just a real fulfilling tour. In Miami, we met Congressman or Rep Watson for the 5th District in Miami. So it was beyond successful. We fed the people, and as you know, Najah is doing another tour coming up in late May, June, I believe. She did ask me to be a part of it, but I had to pass due to the fact I have some other things going on. I've been approached because of this tour or that tour to do some other things with some other people, and like, yo, man, you get down with the get down. Like, I like the boardroom, but I'm a block type of guy. I like being with the people, and that's why I had to get vaccinated. When the vaccine came out, and I was a little trepidatious about getting vaccinated as a Black man, been in America. You have the old way of thinking about the health and equities of America that we have been a part of. These, from the Tuskegee Airmen and things of that nature. So, but I said, look, let me do my research. I learned that Dr. Kizzy, Dr. Kizzy, Black woman, was one of the lead doctors in creating the vaccine, that it was safe, that they're not trying to put a chip in our bodies and things of that nature. And then I just got to a practical sense, logically, as a human being. So when I was born, my mom got me vaccinated. When I traveled abroad, I had to get vaccinated. So I'm gonna get vaccinated. And they have been working on vaccines for the coronavirus for decades. This just wasn't a overnight situation, or they just started working on it 6 months. They've been working on it for decades. And so the world just had a global pandemic that they had to expedite bringing it to the marketplace. So I said, look, I got the vaccination. got it April 6th, and then April 24th, right before the tour, I got my second shot. December 6th, I got my booster. So if I need to get another booster, I'm gonna get it, because we can't keep having this old way of thinking as Black and brown people, and said they out to get us, they out to hurt and harm us. It's like, look, if they wanted to put a chip in you, they'd have did it. But your chip is your cell phone. Your chip is your debit card. They know where you are, when you are, whenever you go, because of our phones and our credit card, the way we spend money. You know what I'm saying? And they know how you're going to spend money before you spend it, based on your spending habits.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So look, get healthy, be healthy. No health, no wealth. So don't debate vaccinate, everybody. And that is a campaign I am currently working on, that I've been pitching to 250 mayors across America. Okay. That's quietly what I've been working on. So I got a couple cities checking me out, looking at it. Of course, everything boils down to funding, and who they're working with and who they're not working with. So yeah, everybody, you Black and brown, go get vaccinated. Because I know some people with some PhDs who are trepidations about getting vaccinated. Stop being so smart that you don't have common sense to get yourself healthy.
Yeah. This represents my grandpa.
He was a Tuskegee Airman?
Yeah, he was a Tuskegee Airman. So I know just with vaccines in general, since you're probably gonna have to deal with people of all different backgrounds. I'm not anti-vax whatsoever, but I do recognize that is the past, and I recognize that it's possible. So I try to have as much education on everything. I don't know if you guys saw earlier, but I'm drinking ginger juice. I had turmeric juice earlier. I think, to go along with what you're saying is you need to always stay healthy, and you need to know yourself, know your body. I think that, the ideas that they're injecting us with chips, or they're trying to kill everybody and things of that nature, I think that just needs to be more fixed with education. My lady, she's a pharmacist. So she's always talking about pro-vaccine. She was one of the first ones. She got vaccinated and she had the booster. So she's all about education. Unfortunately, it got politicized. And so, you got people way over here, and all this fighting and things of that nature. I think just studying it is important. And then personally, I believe in the free choice of being able to get it or not get it. But I do wish that the education aspect was correct, instead of people just randomly putting stuff out there.
Yes, misinformation, different information, and somewhat ignorance. So, but again, anything that you do in life, you have to do your own due diligence. Like even getting in the cryptocurrency space, you have to do your own due diligence, your own research, gather all the information you can, look at the pros, look at the cons, and see how it would make your life better. Or if you say, I'm good with my life the way it is. I'm not forcing or saying anyone to do something they don't want to do or whatever. I'm just saying, educate yourself and make your decision that's best for you, yourself, and your family, and the community at large. I mean, in a minute, we will reach herd community, but I believe we're going to be in this space of the coronavirus. I think it's going to be what do you call it, endemic, we're going to be living with, like the flu. We're going to have to get and my thought though, a vax, we might have to get a shot every year, just like the flu.
Yeah. So we was going on tour. I remember Chicago specifically. I felt like Chicago was like a big homecoming for you. I feel like I felt so happy for you in that Chicago moment, because, we had gone through city after city, and, I briefly had to leave because, one of my friends had just passed away. Whether it was murder, whether it was suicide, we don't know. He was found hanging on a tree. So I found that out. Yeah, same. Thank you. Yeah, I was in Mount Bayou when I heard about it. So I had to make that detour. But when I came back, it was in Detroit, and I can literally see the huge amount of progress that was being made when I was gone. Because when we first started, you had a couple of late spots. We were trying to figure out hotels. Things weren't the trailer, and then by the end, it was like, oh, we didn't got this thing smooth sailing.
Yeah, see, the trailer, the RV truck we had was giving us challenge after challenge. The bathroom broke. It was wibbling. And so the trailer broke down. So we was out without the RV basically for almost 2.5 weeks, from Philly all the way up until Tulsa. And then when we got to Tulsa, because Najah and her husband wanted to get their money back because like we paid for this and this thing we couldn't even use. So from Tulsa, we had to drive the RV back to LA.
Yeah, that's why she had to hire somebody.
Yeah, we had to hire somebody. The brother flew in from New York, met us in Tulsa. He bought us. He drove the RV to Tulsa from Philly, and then from Tulsa, when we got to Tulsa, we drove from Tulsa back to LA. And still, I had to fly back to Miami to meet Najah and Hill in Miami. That like literally Thursday night, 1 o'clock in the morning, bam, we are in. We just arrived back in LA. I had to get on the flight to fly back because we had that pop up in Miami. At the theater. So yeah, it was one situation after another. But yeah, I started finding my groove and just filling things out. And so each situation, we constantly had to make adjustments depending on what was going on and things of that nature. We was 12 people on tour, 7 adults and 5 children. So I was concerned about their safety, their well-being as much as Najah and her husband was, but just still from a logistics standpoint that we had the things that we needed to have because I knew, financially, it was tight. So when we didn't have the RV, a lot of the allies in each city came through for us, bought us breakfast, dinner. One of my frat brothers in Cleveland, he cooked us breakfast on his porch. We pulled up in Cleveland. He cooked us a little whole spread. My frat brother Tony, his son Sam, eggs, bacon. I think it was turkey bacon. I don't eat pork.
Yeah, I don't either.
Pancakes. No, it was just great. Yeah. No, but and then from Cleveland, we went to Cleveland. Then we was in Toledo, then Detroit. Yeah, and that's when we connected in Detroit. And see, in Detroit, my frat brother, he was a principal or one of the administrators of that particular school that we were in. So they had a little situation set up. They had vendors out there. We had about 150 people, I think, show up. It was outside in the parking lot. CNBC covered that particular stop in Detroit. So yeah, Detroit, it was a good stop as well. The whole tour to me was good despite the challenges, because it allowed me to reconnect with people, actually see people and friends, and just I'm a social butterfly. I mean, I knew I had to get vaccinated because I knew I would be hugging people and all that stuff and being in people's face and like, yo, what up, bro? How you doing? And hugging people. So yeah, but yeah, Detroit, we kind of I was like basically the middle of the tour. We found our groove, and then
it was live because then you had Detroit, Chicago. I think Chicago was the grandstand, and I think that when you came out there and you told your story, so first we were at the church.
Yes, on the west side. Yes.
On the west side. Then we went to
Pastor Wright, Michael Wright. Yes.
Yeah. I remember when we went to the park, I remember at first I was like, oh my gosh. One, it was like the biggest event. It was, I don't know, hundreds of people there.
Yes.
And I see all the police officers. I was like, oh
no, bro. Listen, bro.
You said what? You said what?
Yo, we were in the neighborhood, on the south side. We had to get permission from the block to be on the block. So our allies there, my boy Lamar Morrell, Sam and Revan, those were my city allies in Chicago for the south side specifically. And we were at the park there, 72nd and Eggleston, and it was a great turnout. They had the ice cream truck out there. My grandmother, she actually came and saw my son, her grandson perform, because she had recently passed that August. She passed in August, so I was glad that she got to see us and got to see him perform. So it was great. My niece was there, my sisters was there, my mom was there. And the block came out. Of course, my frat brothers came out as well. So yeah, they showed a lot of love. They received the information, and yeah, it was a nice homecoming there on the south side of Chicago.
Yeah, for sure. I got to see Navonne. I think that was his sister, but I just
Yes, he got this. Yeah, his older sister, my niece, Nevaeh. Yes,
yeah.
yes, yes,
I was
yeah.
like, hey, bro, look, I seen the happy look they got. I was like, oh man, that's love, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, he was excited because I mean that was the first time him seeing his mom. What I guess in about 2 years.
Oh
So
wow.
yeah. So yeah, he was excited.
Okay, so cool. Yeah. So okay, so out of this whole tour, and maybe this is biased, but I'll say give me three cities or three moments that you enjoyed the most that you were like, man, I'll never forget that moment. If you give me three moments or three cities or three experiences, what would those be?
Wow.
I know it was a lot of cities.
Yeah. Well, I would say specifically when the RV went down.
Mhm.
I play as Kappa. Back in the day, I spent 2 years online underground. That's when you know what I'm saying. And so, from a mental standpoint, I was prepared on how to think and adjust on my feet based on the flash processing and attending the HBCU because you're not given all the resources. You have to find a way. And so when the RV broke down, a few people's like, y'all should cancel the tour. I said, cancel the tour. I said, yeah, we ain't canceling the tour. She went and got another SUV. Man, I said, look, I'm gonna catch Lyft. I'm gonna go because we can't keep being late, and people don't care about your excuses or anything, the challenges you face. So I was like, man, my son, we went. I met the DJ. We was at my frat brother's house, the headquarters, KSI and Philly. We pulled up on the parking lot and the back of the house. We got there. We waited for y'all to pull up, and the second, with the RV, with two SUVs, and we shared the information. You know, and I had a moment where I had deja vu because when I walked into the frat house, I was like, I've been there before.
Oh man.
Like, and I had never been in I visited Philly before, but I had never actually went to our Kappa headquarters, the frat house. And when I walked in there, I was like deja vu.
Yeah.
Like I had been there before. And then allowed me to talk to my son too about the importance as an artist of being on time, regardless of what may happen, regardless of what challenges that you may face. Even though this is a pop-up charity tour and people are coming out, but still, we have to respect people's time. That's the greatest thing that you can share with someone, your time, because that can't be replaced. Money can be replaced. You know what I'm saying? But you can't replace someone's time. So you always want to respect people's time and show up on time. Like what Ice Cube say. I take his method. If you on time, you late.
Yeah.
So I always try to be 30 to 15 minutes early for everything. Everything. You know what I'm saying? Because anything can happen. You can't say you live in LA, it's traffic. Well, you know it's traffic.
Yeah.
You know it's going to take, it says 40 minutes regarding GPS, but in LA, you got to add another 20 to 30 minutes to that time.
Or 40.
or 40.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's better to be there 30 minutes, 45 minutes early than the late. Even if you have to go to a Starbucks or a coffee shop in the area to sit, that you're not sitting in the office like, oh, you over zealous for the opportunity or what the situation is, but you just go sit and wait and then pull up 15 minutes early before whatever appointment or situation you have, that you're on time. So that gave me an opportunity to talk to my son regarding that, because we was in the frat house, and of course I talked to him about the Kappas and things of that nature. So that was one. Wow, of course Chicago, because my family was there.
Yeah.
You know, and I would probably say Tulsa.
Yeah.
Even though Tulsa, they had that celebrity boycott because the commission for the Tulsa commission, they raised all this money and then didn't share it with the survivors of the 1920 massacre.
Well,
So a lot of people,
I didn't even know about all that. What happened?
yeah. So the celebrities boycotted it, and they were supposed to have a big old concert, John Legend, all that day, But because of the way the funds was used and not sharing it with the survivors of the 1921 massacre, a lot of the people boycotting. He was asked to boycott as well, but he was like, "This is the very thing that I'm fighting regarding being in this digital currency. So I'm there to share information And one of the reasons why the digital wallet is called the Black Wall Street, because he stated that he never wanted Black and brown people, specifically Black people, to be in that position again where they create and build wealth, and someone, because of the anger, jealousy, and envy, can destroy it. You could build wealth in the cryptocurrency space, and no one could destroy it or take it away from you other than yourself. So he said, I have to be there to commemorate me honoring them and paying homage to them, but also he had a couple other things going on as well. And heck, we was a few thousand, well, not me, but they were, several $1,000s deep in it. So yeah. So those were the three that really sticks out regarding the tour. Overall, but of course, all of it was good. Charlotte, Miami, everybody was good. Detroit, Toledo, everybody showed love.
I know Tulsa was memorable. I had very mixed feelings about Tulsa, meaning like the event was great, the experience was great, but just as
it rained.
It rained. Yeah, rain.
And you know me, despite the rain, I was like, we still popping up on the corner.
Oh yeah,
we still popping up, And so we had. That particular night, we had one or two people come out. Najah still shared the information with them intimately and treated them to dinner with us. But it rained, and I'm like, man, I was soaking wet that day out in the rain, trying to navigate the truck and get everybody to turn around and things of that nature. But no elements, nothing's gonna hold me back from getting done what needs to be done.
That's part of the story
that I'm working with.
That's part of the story. I mean, if everything was perfect and literally all we had to do was sit down in the car and the car just drove us to a place, we didn't have to do nothing, and everybody was magically out there and we didn't have to do anything besides just give our speeches. To be quite honest with you, that would have still been powerful enough, but there's no story behind it.
Yeah,
like, we've got story upon story upon story. Like, I know there's supposed to be a documentary coming out over it. It generated this podcast. It looks like it led you to hire in different better situations, and it look, bro, the seeds that were laid in that during that
in my space of life, I'm always on a trajectory of up. You know what I'm saying? I'm always ascending, even in my pitfalls or downfalls or in my valleys. I'm always working to ascend. You know what I'm saying? So and I do believe one opportunity always leads to another. That's why I didn't let money dictate whether I was going to do the tour or not. You know what I'm saying? Because if I let money dictate how I'm gonna do things, I wouldn't be where I am, today. Because I'd say, well, I'm not getting paid what I want. I'm walking away. No, how can I make this work and find a better way and really make something happen? So I looked at it. It's like, yo, let's do this and let's make it happen. So yeah. But no, the tour, everyone was stupendously great and hospitable. It allowed me to see that humanity that amongst people still exists because of the people who extended themselves to us to help make the tour successful. You know what I'm saying? From Marcus, or what's his name? Marcus, right? Black Bitcoin billionaires. Marcus, right?
Well, we got a Marcus in Tulsa. He was there. He was the one with the shirts, and he was helping us
when we was in Louisville. He was with us in Louisville, right?
Lamar,
yeah. Lamar took care of us. Yes. So see, I had so many names, in my head from the tour. Like, some people I met literally at that particular moment of time, and then we kept it moving. But no, Lamar, like he sponsored us in our hotels there when we was out of a situation with the RV, because you can't have kids and Najah mom, she's a senior citizen. You can't have sleeping in a car or whatever. So I was just reaching out to my people, and people came through, and I wasn't afraid to ask for the help either. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes people like, how I'm gonna ask, how I'm gonna do this. Man, I wasn't afraid to ask for help. Like, look, this is our situation. Unbeknownst to us, we was faced with this unforeseen situation with the RV. And people said, Kweisi, whatever you need. So when someone tells me whatever you need, I said, okay, this is what we need then. And people came through for us. In a big way. Like literally for 2 weeks, we didn't have an RV. And for those 2 weeks, we had some place to stay in every market city that we went in via the relationship with allies and personal friends that I have.
Yeah, man. Shout out to the people, man, because
Yeah, the people,
man,
and that gave me a hope and humanity. You know what I'm saying? Because now in the space that we're in, everything is so politically driven, these culture wars and things of that nature, and so it just rejuvenated my spirit and mankind and our fellow man. That yes, there's still some people kind and hospitable and loving people, you know, here.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah, forever changed my life for sure for the better. So if I have one more question for you,
Okay.
it would be, what would you tell the people in general, whether it's, you know, about tour, whether it's about Kweisi, whether it's about family, whether it's about mental health? If there was one thing you want to tell people, what would that be?
I mean, I don't mean to sound cliche, but it's cliche. You know, faith without work is dead. You could believe in yourself all you want. You could believe in God, somebody you never seen, but yet sometimes we refuse to believe in ourselves, who we see every day. So if you say you believe in God, yo, you must believe in yourself. Faith without work. Yes, you could believe, but also you have to, faith means you have to put forth action. And that lets you know you have faith when you work towards your desired dream, your goals, your aspiration. I'm always working 24/7 in some form of fashion because as a boutique PR brand strategy firm, as an emerging TV film producer, no one's knocking on my door and saying, "Yo, so I got to go out." The past 2 years, I probably traveled more the past 2 years and creating opportunities for myself and my company than I have prior to the pandemic in some form or fashion, because I would always get in these creative conflicts with my wife, like, why are you traveling, why are you doing? I'm like, look, I'm a black man in America. I'm gonna die either black on black crime, police brutality, or health. I'm not gonna sit on this couch or sit in this house and wait for something to happen, or wait, because ain't nobody knocking on my door. So I was going out. I mean, I've done events with my girl LaRonda with the LPGR group in Dallas, Texas. I helped her with the procure sponsorship and do some work with her, with her former NFL player Devontae Harris in March. I did something in November 2011 with a reality star to benefit the North Texas Food Bank and Dallas at Virgin Hotel. So I'm constantly working and traveling and traveling. I've been in Seattle, been to Vegas a couple of times, just looking and creating opportunities for my firm. Because it's just like, look, I got to go out and knock on some doors and say, look, look, these are the products and services I bring, and my relationships, my alliances across the country are like brilliant. So at the end of the day, believe in yourself, but put forth the work.
Yeah.
Because faith without work is dead. Period.
Done. Well, look, I appreciate
Follow me on Instagram at #2KGPR, at #2KGPR. My website, kgpr-la.com. My email is on there, and also my direct number. So if you want PR brand strategy, if you're looking to do lifestyle marketing events, I'm brilliant. And then from a poetry standpoint, if you need a motivational speaker to come out and speak to young people about art and poetry, about motivation and dealing with death and adversity, I'm a poet. I'm self-published. Gharreau.com, my literary bio. My book is titled Innocent Rage. Yes, I do have the picture of my younger brother Lamont with the gunshot wound to his head in the book. It's a homage to Miss Emmett Till's mom regarding his passing, and wanted the world to see what the white man did to Emmett Till. I wanted the world to see what two black men did to my younger brother, because as black men, we have to stop perpetuating the violence that is going on in our community. But I also understand it's perpetuated due to the fact of systemic racism, institutional oppression, and police brutality. Lack of education, lack of housing, lack of opportunities puts us in a cycle of violence, and it keeps being perpetuated. So with that and knowing that, that's also from an educational and academic standpoint, helped me have the strength to meet Eric and Jonathan regarding forgiving them, because I know the cycle that we're in. Because when I was in college, you travel, you go to Detroit, you go to Cleveland, you go to Philly, you go to these cities, and like Tupac said, every black community looked like the same black community. I don't care where you are in the country. And so when I saw that, and I saw that the red line and the lack of housing, and we can't get, just health and dental. So it put me in a situation where I know why the violence has been perpetuated, because it's designed for us to do so. We are worth more to the system in jail than in academically. You know, like I know specifically, now this might have changed in the state of Illinois. It costs anywhere from $8,000 to $10,000 to educate someone, but to incarcerate someone, it's like $15,000 to $20,000 a year. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. So follow me on Instagram at @2KGPR. You can get at me there, on my website. My number, email is there. I'm available from a PR brand strategy standpoint, and or if you want a poet to come out do a National Poetry Month in April to speak to your young people, or to speak to your corporate organization on, you know, brand management, leadership, and things of that nature.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Thank you, CJ the Smart Guy, for having me on your platform and allowing me to share who I am with the people. Continue to do what you do. Take the message from the boardroom to the block, and empowering us to be and to become.
Man, I appreciate it. Look, from the boardroom to the block. Look, you need to trademark that right now. Is that trademark? Look, Kweisi's got the trademark to that. From the boardroom to the block. Don't nobody else could take it. We're gonna put this on the blockchain so that it's automatically stored on there. That's like the bootleg copyright. You know what I mean? Like when you used to have the copyright in an envelope, send it to yourself so that then the post office will stamp it, but you never unseal it. That's what we're gonna do with that. We're gonna make sure that this is on the blockchain from the boardroom to the block. That's Kweisi.
Yeah. And one more thing I want to thank and show my sincere gratitude to Najah Roberts and Hill Harper for entrusting me to put the tour together and have an opportunity to do such, and everybody on the tour who helped make it be as successful as it was. And continue to educate yourself on this growing asset class, cryptocurrency, because it does even the playing field to help us generate and build wealth for ourselves, our families, and the community at large.
That part, man. Well, look, thank you for having me on, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you for having me on. What's he talking about? Thank you for having me on.
Well, thank you for coming on. That's what I meant to say.
Yeah, for sure. I know this has been in the work for a couple months. You was texting me on DM and it's like, yo, can I get you? Can I get you? And I was just like, all right, cool. Because I think the last time you texted me, I was literally in St. Louis. Yeah. And so I said, let me make this happen. Let me put this on my schedule, regardless of what's going on, so that I could get on your schedule. So again, my gratitude for having me. Continue to do what you do. Peace and love.
Thank you, man. Peace and love. CJ the Smart Guy, Kweisi, we're out. Peace.